You went to a Guitar Center?
I did.
They still...
It's actually a pretty funny... Do you want to hear the story? So I
didn't even know. I haven't been in a Guitar Center.
There's one pretty close
years.
to my house that... I actually have 2 Guitar Center stories that are actually both...
In the last year?
Like 2 years. 3 years. So one, me and my wife moved out of a house that we lived in with my sister and cousin, and eventually some other people moved in there. It was like kind of one of those houses where a bunch of people live. But the owner of said house, who is our famous grandfather, was like, I'm selling this house. That's why so many people I was related to and knew lived in this house, because it was my grandfather's house. Or a house that he owned, because he's cool. But he was going to sell it. This house is going to go away. So it was like, you need to get all this shit out of this house. So me and my wife
went to Guitar Center.
Well, no, so we're getting all, like, we had moved, but we kind of had left stuff behind, as one can do as a young person. So we're getting all our stuff. We're bringing it back. There's like bicycles and gardening stuff in the garage. There's all this stuff we had to get rid of. And it was getting down to the wire where everything was out of the house and everything was kind of piled up in the driveway. And there was a pack of cymbals, like drum cymbals.
Oh, you know what? I remember this now.
This is a good story. And I was like, these are good. But I was like, if you hadn't taken anything out of the house at this point, we were getting to the dregs of like anything that's not going to get taken is going to go to the dump. But I saw these cymbals and I'm like, these are kind of nice. I took them home. I took them to the Guitar Center near where my current house was and sold them. And they were like, these are pretty good cymbals. We'll give you like $300 for them. And I got a cool synthesizer. I traded them in for a synthesizer.
Wait, whose cymbals were they?
Well, I'm going to get to that part at the end.
Were they mine?
No, because I wouldn't have given them back. Because that's what I had to do. So I took them home. I have a cool synthesizer. I brought it back, and I'm like, Katie, those stupid cymbals.
An idiot.
I don't even.
There's never been a cool synthesizer.
You don't even know. You tell
even when a synthesizer is cool, I mean, having one is not cool.
It's cool.
Playing one properly in the right context, great. Having one, ridiculous. You're a ridiculous.
That's nothing. It's cool. Honestly, when I was leaving the Guitar Center, people were like clapping for me. It was pretty cool. Like a guy was doing like Stairway to Heaven on guitar, but then he saw me with like a box synthesizer in box leaving, and he went he not even stopped playing. He messed up the solo and went like, what? And then just started clapping. I was walking out. So I felt pretty good.
It's hard to get.
But here's the problem.
To stop playing.
Once I got home with said synthesizer, new in box, I didn't like it so much that I opened it right away. I just was like, okay, I'm over this. And so like 2 days later,
what a cool guy
you are. The kid, I was just above it, you know.
Yeah.
I'm a famous brother, so it's fine.
A couple weeks from now, I'll open this. And see what the plinks and plumps.
Just see what it's doing. I think his name was Trevor. There was
a kid Trevor at a Guitar Center.
No. The kid who had lived at the house for like a week, and he loved his drum set. I don't know where the rest of the drum set was, but he loved these were his babies.
Cymbals do get more like love from drummers a lot of times.
I've never met a drummer that I've ever cared for.
Drummers are the hardest people to love. They're either like coked out of their mind or like conspiring to start another band constantly.
Apparently, in the days that this synthesizer was just sitting in my apartment, he was searching for these cymbals, his babies, that he didn't take out of this house that he wasn't going to live in anymore, like that were in the trash pile of this house.
What cymbal? Were they like Zildjian, like some
There was like a Zildjian and something else. It was like 2 crashes and a hi-hat. It was a bunch of cymbals.
That's expensive.
Yeah, I got a synthesizer for him. I told you this. What were you doing? Yeah, but apparently he loved them and didn't give a shit about them enough until he found out they were gone. He didn't care that they were in the trash pile. So here's what I had to do once it came back to me.
Because I'm on this, kids. You sound like a tyrant. I think you're lying. I think you sought out these cymbals for money.
No, I took the cymbals and like a bunch of busted rakes to like throw in the trash. Like this is the level of stuff that was left at this house. It was a horrible couch, a bed frame that's broken, a dresser that's too big to fit in any car or truck, a bag of cymbals, and a bunch of broken rakes and like lawn stuff. Like this was the level of what needed to be taken away from this house before it was sold.
By the way, did you ever think how many dressers that were too big for cars have we had to like?
So many.
How did couches that don't fit down the stairs but fit up at some point? It doesn't make any sense.
So that level of like disregarded.
Right, now I get it because I agree with you. If I saw cymbals, I'd be like, I mean, this.
You're like nobody cared about these because they are next to a fucked up couch, a broken rake that has been in this house since 1927.
A third generation, but not like a cool
one
thing
of those
from the old days.
lawnmowers,
like a bad thing from the old days.
A lawnmower that is like not an engine; it sort of spins when you push it. Like the Wright brothers invented. It was like next to one of those.
I want one of those. I think that might be easier.
Honestly,
than
if I could have brought one of those to Guitar Center, that would have been cool. But whatever. So like I thought I was free and clear. This was free cymbals. But this kid who apparently
sold them.
I sold them, and I was like, someone
bought a synthesizer,
and I was like, someone didn't love him. Apparently, he did. But
which, by the way,
dumb as shit.
Shouldn't you want to?
I guess no,
I was gonna say learn playing
learn
drums.
the drums.
Yeah, more than synthesizer.
No one has to
just
learn.
Play the piano. Like get a keyboard.
Have you ever seen a piano?
What is the difference between now a synthesizer and like a keyboard where you just put
you actually have to kill more elephants for a synthesizer.
People
don't talk about that. You have to use every part of an elephant to make a synthesizer. It's weird. So this kid eventually calls me and he's like, "Oh, do you have my beautiful cymbals?" And I say, "All right, you got to meet me at fucking Guitar Center."
Who is this fucking kid?
Trevor or something. I don't remember his name. Friends of our cousin's dog walker's nephew or whatever. So we have to go back to Guitar Center, which at the first time
terrible sentence. Go back.
So the thing is, the first time, like I said, people are clapping for me. I'm like, also I lied about being in a band when I was selling them.
Well,
before.
They're used to that at Guitar Center.
So I was like
lying about being in a band.
I was like, this drummer, fucking hate this guy. He's just selling a bunch of loose cymbals, no big deal.
I think you have to lie about being in a band
then when we went back,
get a job at
when we went back, I had to tell Trevor, I was like, listen, if like someone brings up that maybe we were in a band, just play along so I don't go to federal prison. But I just had to go in and be like, hey, remember that whole thing where I turned
the CIA
these annoying cymbals into a cool synthesizer? Can you just undo that? And the guy was like, was the synthesizer like not up to your clearly very high standards? And I was like, oh, no. I mean, it was, but
You're like, what are the standards?
But I was like, no, the synthesizer was cool. I didn't really get to open it because technically I stole these cymbals from, and I did say, my drummer.
You owned the drummer.
Yeah, I just wanted to make it clear that we had a relationship in which I owned him, and I was doing him a favor.
That's the sad part of being a drummer is that all the other
You got to put that shit on vibrate, my friend.
You didn't hear that, did you?
Yeah, I did.
Sick.
What are you, 100 years old? And welcome